Hello everyone.
Hello, hello.
I'm Tony.
And I'm Tally.
And we are
the Lazy Book Lovers.
This is a podcast for book lovers who procrastinate about reading and have never-ending to-be-read piles. And speaking of to-be-read piles, today is a reading update.
Wow, what have we been reading?
This is going to be an intentional part 2 again. Woohoo!
We've been reading so much. Actually, when I messaged you last night, I was like, I've not read anything.
Yeah. And then I went on your story graph and I was like, actually.
Because I had such a big list of what I wanted to read in August. I feel like I didn't read anything. I think I had also I've got a bit of a cough, so sorry, I think my voice has already gone croaky.
Was it called Vocal Fry or something?
Yeah. I think there was 16 books I wanted to read in August. And because I read 9, I was like, I didn't read anything.
Failure.
I failed.
Yeah, I was on a really good streak, and then real life has really come for me.
Yeah.
So the headline news for me outside of podcast life is I lost my job. I got made redundant.
Yeah. So
much fun.
We're going to read loads.
Yeah, hopefully. I've been trying to make sure, consciously trying to not just sit on TikTok.
Not just potato.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I have always worked. Since I was 15, I've had a job.
Yeah, the only time I didn't work was when I was pregnant, and it was really weird, and it took me a long time to be able to just relax, and then I never relaxed again.
Yeah.
Because I had a child.
Yeah, I think apart from obviously when I went travelling, I wasn't working then, but I was travelling. Or when I was at uni, I had jobs seasonally, but term time I maybe didn't have jobs all the time. But I don't think
you were
that
doing
counts.
work.
Yeah.
You were uni working.
So the only time I have had no school work, no work was when I came back from my last big travelling trip, and it took me 6 weeks to find a job.
Watching my son in the summer holidays, I was like, I wish I'd appreciated summer holidays more when I was a kid. Yeah,
I used to get, I don't know, I didn't
Not like a kid, when I was a teenager. I wish I'd appreciated them more.
Yeah, I didn't like school, so I liked...
You appreciate them.
Summer holidays, yeah.
But yeah, we have been reading a bit. There is someone talking out in one of the gardens, so apologies if you can pick that up. We're not closing the window. We've turned the fan off, that's as far as we can go.
But there's yet another fucking heat wave in
No, the only positive is the 6 loads of washing I did yesterday, but...
Yeah, I swear, I feel every time we record it's when the heat waves have happened. Yeah. We never record, genuinely last week it was so cold. It was autumnal weather.
We could have done a really cute little autumn episode, been all snuggly, listened to the rain. Oh, we'll have loads of them coming up. It's England.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe next, I don't know when this comes out. Either when this has come out or next time or whatever, not next episode because we're going to record them both today. But at some point we will have met, hopefully, Derek Landy again.
Yeah, we're going to
very
go see
excited.
him again.
We're going to go see him. He's got a graphic novel coming out.
Yeah, when you tagged me in that, I was like, is this a sincere offer?
Yeah.
I was like, this better be.
Yeah, definitely. Because I said to Nick straight away, oh, we're going to go see Derek Landy again before I'd even tagged you. Yeah.
It's alright, doesn't matter. Don't have to worry about work.
Yeah, exactly.
It's quite nice though when I'm trying to make plans with people and I'm like, it's fine, pick whenever. That is quite nice.
We could see each other. We could do things.
Yeah, we could just hang out.
Because
I'm free in the daytime.
Biggun's at school now. Yeah. We could go for a coffee. Imagine.
We have not been able to do that since she was pregnant with the first one.
No, when we went to the cinema, we grabbed a coffee, but it was a coffee to take into the cinema with us. That was really fun when we went to the cinema.
Yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah. Books.
Yeah, books. Sorry. How are all of you? Hope you're doing well.
Yeah.
Hope you haven't melted.
No.
I mean, it's probably cold by the time this comes out, but
and
I'll be listening to this, be like, why was she complaining?
Yeah.
Such a bitch.
I will never ever think, why was she complaining about the heat? I'll be like, touche.
Yeah, because the person I'm dating at the moment, we obviously met in the winter, and then I was like, so what are going to happen? What you're going to discover is about October, November, I start saying I feel sad all the time and don't know why. We all know why. It's because the clocks have gone back, and I don't like winter.
We all know why.
But I'd be like, oh, I just feel really shit this week and I don't know why. And I just need you to look at me and go, it's winter. You don't like winter.
I get that at the start of the hot weather. Like, I get sad then.
I don't know. I don't like... When we hit 25 and above in the UK, I don't like the UK at that heat. Don't appreciate it.
No.
But when this is kind of tolerable-ish. It's not disgusting.
I wish, every year I think the same. I'm like, I wish I could be a summer girly. I wish I could embrace it. I wish I could just do it. But I have such deep-rooted hatred of my body that I'm still working through, that summer is hell for me. Absolute hell, because I don't wear summer clothes. I don't own summer clothes. If I do own them, I put them on, look in the mirror, and I'm like, I look disgusting and stupid. And then I put a jumper back on and then complain I'm hot.
Yeah.
So I have the same thing every year. And one year I'm going to get over body issues and just actually dress for the weather.
I don't know, I'm such a I run hot. I'm such a hot bitch. I've never had the option.
Yeah. Like, I will literally, I will go out and sweat, but I will refuse to take my jumper off because I'm like, I don't want people to see my shoulders. You can see my shoulders right now.
Arms.
It feels weird that everyone knows I've got shoulders. What is this? A Catholic church? God. Right. Hello. When I lived in Malta and we went into one of the churches, and I had a vest top on because there I had to just get over it and wear a vest top. And I was getting so much better, but since my body's changed, since having kids, I've regressed. I tell you what I don't like as well, the thing that really stresses me out, we're just going to overshare, is my boobs are too big now and they make me feel sick every time I look at them or I'm aware of them, and so none of my clothes fit right and I hate my life.
But you are still breastfeeding, so I feel like that will change. Yeah,
but they won't go smaller, they'll just get saggier and flatter when I stop.
Maybe, I don't know. Everyone's bodies are different, react differently. You don't know. Yeah. And exercise can change how they sit as well.
I just want them gone. I just literally want them gone. I just want to. When I stop breastfeeding, I don't need to have access to the boobies. I will probably just get a binder and just live my best flat-chested life.
Yeah, I do, because I have. You guys can't see us. I have very low maintenance boobs. I need a sports bra, but not really.
I want them back. I want to be in the position that I could if I don't want to wear a bra, I don't have to.
Yeah,
and that's the life I want back.
So I remember you never used to wear bras.
No, and I hate it.
You're not a bra girly.
No, I refuse. And
you have boob cages.
But when I was in Malta and I went to one of the churches, I had a vest top on. It was quite low cut. Yeah. And they didn't care about that, but I had to cover my shoulders. And I was like, that's weird, because God can see my boobs. Yeah. But is it because there's nothing sexual about boobs? No, there's not. But why are you sexualising my shoulders?
I don't know.
And why has that man got his shoulders out in his vest top? What's sexy about my shoulders?
When you do that in, Venice, those Catholic churches make men and women cover shoulders.
That's how it should be. If you're going to be weird about shoulders, you have to be weird about everyone's shoulders.
And that knees.
Yeah.
What's wrong? Why knees?
Why knees?
Why knees sexy?
What's your fetish about?
Yeah.
You can only work at those churches if you've got a thing about knees and shoulders. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. Right, okay. Let's actually get on with it. Apologies to any religios we've offended. But if you've ever listened to our podcast, you know.
I mean, you do you, but why shoulders? This is not just a religious thing though, because when I worked for the NHS, I'm not a sleeves person. It stresses me out. It's just an extra bit of sensory that I don't need.
When they cut like that,
I have very specific requirements when it comes to sleeves. I've realised.
Sleeves?
Sleeves? I hate them. So I'm always in vest tops and I'll layer with a cardigan in the winter or whatever. But NHS, I'm sorry, hospitals are fucking hot. I understand why they're sick people. But when you're a well person who's running all around the hospital, I was hot all the time, even in winter. The winter was worse. Just all of it was disgustingly hot all the time. So I just don't wear sleeves. I'd be professional. I'd still be in very professional wear.
The concept of professional clothing is stupid and bullshit anyway.
But my head of charity used to be like, oh, I don't think having your shoulders out is professional. But very low cut dresses, fine.
Yeah. Short dresses.
Short,
fine.
low cut dresses.
And you're wearing heels.
With heels.
Yeah. Fine.
But with sleeves, professional. Whereas I was fully covered at the chest. Because especially in a professional environment, I don't like to have things out because I don't want you looking there when we're supposed to be like working with you.
Yeah.
So like, I would be very covered, but my shoulders would be out and my arms would be out. And yeah, I don't know. Because it's a made up thing, like people can just be like, I find shoulders unprofessional, and then that's it. You have to listen to that. That's she used to have such a thing about shoulders, and I was like, okay. But then if you look, all the women NHS executives do dress that way. Very few of them will wear like pantsuits or anything like that.
It's like
oh my god,
you
know what I mean?
Shoulder pads. That's what it is. She wanted you to have shoulder pads.
Yeah. Maybe I just had too small shoulders.
Yeah. She was like, your shoulders should be broader.
They all wear heels. Even the head of nursing, who was like had been a nurse for 30 years before she was head of nursing, was wearing heels to walk around the wards, and I'm like, babe,
stop.
It's like, why does heels make you more professional?
Stop being a victim to the patriarchy. Just stop it.
And that wasn't like a dress code rule either.
No,
it was just like you get judged.
Deep down. Like...
So you could tell someone's seniority by how big their heels were. It was just ridiculous. And I was like, nope, I'm going to walk around in my little flats. Yeah.
I ain't twisting my ankles.
Well, my ankles can't cope with heels anyway. So.
No.
Anyway, books.
Who's starting? We didn't discuss that.
You go first because I've got more.
I read You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight by Kaylin Barron. I always go to mispronounce her surname. Barron. Kaylin Barron.
That's the one with the cool cover in it.
Yeah. She's the author of Cinderella is Dead as well. I can't remember if I read that before or after the podcast started. Can't remember if I discussed it, but yeah. So this is her first like foray into horror.
Yeah.
It's a YA queer horror. Oh, okay. Tangent already.
Okay, go.
Someone had the audacity to tell me on TikTok in a reply to my comment on someone's video that I cannot be queer because I don't live the lifestyle as I'm with a man.
Well,
right?
Go fuck yourself, person. Random person.
I don't live the struggle of the lifestyle as I'm with a man.
I mean, you just happened to like.
Sounds like you're a bit of a dickhead. To me,
you just happened to fall in love and have children with a man. It's not like what doesn't make you any less who you are.
I was like, all right. I mean, by the time I got to the comment, because that comment had happened like overnight or something, the person had had like 12 replies telling them what a dickhead they were, so I didn't really need to do anything. But yeah,
the internet took care of them.
Yeah.
That's good.
I was like, The thing that annoyed me the most was the phrasing of it being a lifestyle. I was like, lifestyle implies it's a choice you can make.
Yeah. And
not
also,
living
like,
the queer lifestyle. I'm sorry, what?
You only count as bi or pan if you're with the same sex partner, but then you wouldn't be bi or pan.
That's
so, like, what's the point?
The whole point of
the whole concept is it's either or. Yeah.
Okay, so You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight follows Charity, who plays a final girl at a summer camp. Well, it's not a summer camp that's in use. So it's like one of those, like in America they have those like horror. I'm trying to think of what they're called, like interactive experiences. Yeah. So it's one like that. So you go to this summer camp that's not actually a summer camp. It used to be a summer camp and now it's abandoned, and someone bought it up and turned it into like an interactive experience. You go there for the night and you are like people at the camp and you get chased.
Yeah.
And then like the people that work there get killed in front of you and stuff. And she plays she's the manager there, and she plays a final girl.
Yeah.
And it literally said here, a full contact terror game. There we go. So they recreate scenes from a film that was called Curse of Camp Mirror Lake, and they're at Camp Mirror Lake.
Right.
And the last weekend of the season, because obviously it's just during the summer holidays or whatever season they do, or like summer through to Halloween or whatever. The last weekend of it, her staff starts going missing, and they just assume they've just left early.
Yeah.
It's an issue they have because they're like
It's
high
seasonal
school
work,
kids,
yeah.
and it's seasonal work. Yeah. So they assume they just left early, but then it turns out they did not just leave early, and there is a real killer at Camp Crystal Lake, and it is really, really fun. So fun. And then it gets really silly and crazy, and it all works very well, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
Like proper, like old school horror movie style.
Yeah.
I like that.
And there's like, you know, like the local policeman is very like shifty and hates them having it there, and right at the beginning, one of the neighbours turns up at the camp with a shotgun and is like, "You're disrespecting," and then they look into it and they find out that some murders happened at the camp, which is why it got closed down, and they didn't know that. And there's no internet signal, no phone signal. Yeah, it's just perfect. But it has the added element of there's like, for the interactive game part of it, there's like tunnels for the players to get to, for the killer, the guy that's playing the killer, the actor, to get from one place to another, to jump out and scare people. So they have all these additional tunnels. And it was really, really fun. It was silly. It was just fun.
They used to have a zombie experience in Birmingham.
No.
Where you were like,
wanted to do something like that.
Yeah, where it's like you're running from zombies, and if you get caught, then you've got to put zombie makeup on and then chase everyone else. And it's like how many people from your group could survive and stuff. And it's like in a whole warehouse area.
I always wanted to do something like that.
Yeah.
And like, I really want to go do, because in America they always have these really cool like haunted house experiences and stuff. And I know that they do them at places like Alton Towers and things here.
Yeah.
So I've always wanted to do one of them. I just think it'd be really, really fun.
I do wonder if I'd do like the knee-jerk reaction, just like punch it in the face.
Yeah. When you watch those videos where people are trying to scare them, and there is always someone that just punches.
Or I saw this one. It was in like American like horror escape room type thing, and they run through, and there's like whatever the scary monster is, and the guy pushes his girlfriend at the monster and then sprints,
I saw that.
And then he like gives her the bat and then goes like go
get him. Yeah. I wonder if I would do something like that. Like, go! Yeah, because I was thinking, like, about stuff like that. I was like, if like, it's not quite the same, but if, like, I was out with my son and then I saw a car lose control, would I get that, that mum strength and, like, throw him, yeah. Because we were talking about that strength the other day.
I'll punch the desk then, enthusiasm. Sorry, guys.
Because my partner told my son that sometimes mums can like lift cars and stuff
when you get an adrenaline rush
to save their kids, and my son was telling me about it, and I was like, yeah, like mums are amazing.
Superhuman.
Yeah.
I don't know, I've always been surprised, like, my reactions in a crisis are quite good, and then afterwards I'm like, I just don't think once when I was doing that, I just did things.
Yeah, like, there's been times where stuff's happened with my son, and then I've just dealt with it, and then afterwards I get shaky, and I'm like, oh my god, yeah.
I'm just, like, picturing all the things you could have done wrong. Like,
and, like, there's been times when they're both, like, we recently went on holiday and they're both upset at one point, so I was carrying both of them, and I was like, I do not have the strength for this, but I did, because I had to get them from one place to another. So you just, and then afterwards I was like, my arms could not move ever again.
Yeah.
Tell us what you've been reading.
Alright, so I'm gonna do this one first, actually. So I read The Girl Who Could Move Shit with Her Mind.
Oh yeah, so you were currently reading this last time we recorded.
So, annoyingly, this is a series, and 4 of them are out.
4?
Yes. And I don't even know if the series is done yet.
Series must be capped at trilogies.
Especially when it's just like a funny book title that I picked up on a whim, and now I've got to buy 4 more fucking books. Like, it's just rude.
Yeah, how dare you?
So it's the first book in the Frost Files series by Jackson Ford. That's a lot of F's.
I always get this one mixed up with that Girl with All the Gifts. That I always think they're the same book. They're not.
They're very different vibes. I might just read the summary out because I feel like my version will be a bit more chaotic. Okay. Fatigue and Frost shit just got real. Tegan Frost is having a hard time keeping it together. Sure, she's got telekinetic powers, a skill that the government is also happy to make use of, sending her on secret break-in missions that no ordinary human could carry out. But all she really wants is to kick back, have a beer, and pretend she's normal for once. But then a body turns up on the site of her last job, murdered in a way that only someone like Tegan could have pulled off. She's got 24 hours to clear her name, and it's not her life, just her life that's at stake. If she can't unravel the conspiracy in time, her hometown of Los Angeles will be in the crosshairs of an underground battle that's on the brink of exploding. So basically, her parents are geneticists, and the story she's always been told is that they basically did experiments on her and her siblings, and that's how they all end up with some kind of powers each.
Parenting there, right?
Yeah. So they were geneticists who got shut down and decided to carry on their own experiments, and then
with their children.
With their own children were the results.
I'm not saying that's bad parenting, but take those kids away.
Oh, so that's the story she's always been told, it's just her.
Yeah.
But then suddenly bodies are turning up for someone else. So of her 3 siblings, she got 2 siblings, there was 3 of them. The other 2 did not have the same powers as her.
Okay.
They're different types of powers. So there's no one else in the world like her, and suddenly there's dead bodies turning up, murdered in the way only someone like her could do, but clearly someone more powerful.
Yeah.
When her parents died, Tegan got basically kidnapped by the government and experimented on. So she's very aware of the limits of her power because they did it to her in labs and they tortured her in labs. And her only way out was to go and work for this government black ops company. That they do take down baddies, so that's how she kind of deals with it, is they are dealing with genuinely scummy people. And she uses her powers on missions with them. And but they control every aspect of her life, like where she can live, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And
she's not allowed to ever tell anyone about her powers.
How old is she? Is she a child, like a teenager?
Early 20s. Don't quote me exactly, but early 20s. Not a teenager anymore. So she can't really get that close to anyone, and also can't tell them why.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then these bodies start turning up, and the government's basically like, well, this is definitely you killing people, so we're going to take you back to the lab.
Yeah.
And she's like, no. And they're like, well, you've got 24 hours to prove us wrong, but it's not you. And then shit kicks off. Basically, the person who is the person with the powers keeps killing people. He's more powerful than her. So then through that, she starts to push the limits of her own powers and realises she's a lot more powerful than they thought. And then that again makes the government officials very uncomfortable because there were known limitations in her powers before.
Yeah.
But suddenly the goalpost shifts and they're like, okay, you're dangerous.
Yeah, can we control you?
Because she managed to bring down a helicopter, and it's in the sky, so it was beyond the range of the limit of her powers and distance, and as well as the heaviness of it and stuff. But yeah, it's really, the narration's really funny, as you can tell, because it's the whole move shit with her mind. She makes fun of her powers all the time. She is just very jokey. Fun. It's how she's coped with all the shit she's been through. It's just to be yeah, I'm just gonna make a joke out of this.
Yeah.
But the person who with the powers is being manipulated by someone else, and when you find out who it was, it's really well done. It's really good.
So does the book leave on a cliffhanger or anything?
So
do you feel a need to read the rest of the series? I mean, yes. You probably will anyway. But...
Yeah. Well, so the guy who's got the powers is dealt with, and that part of the storyline's wrapped up.
Okay.
And then at the very end, you find out someone from her past has been watching her because it switches to his POV in the last paragraph. And that they knew about this other guy in the world who had powers. Yeah. And it turns out her parents had been paying poor women to have babies that they experimented on.
So her parents are just trash.
Basically.
Wow.
And then one of the ones that did develop powers wasn't kept for experimentation, was let out into the world somehow, but accidentally.
With no one to guide them or control them or keep an eye,
Yeah. Okay. So the person who ends up manipulating the kid with the powers... Obviously, so there's a little tiny moth that's just distracted both of us. Can you calm down?
Yeah, why are you so energetic? It's too
daytime.
Hot.
Can you go away?
No, I like
You're not even near the nice plants. You're just fluttering around with the computers.
Us.
Thank you. God. Sorry.
Do you not know this is a neurospicy household.
Literally, your eyes are just following it, and then I was like watching it. I was like, oh no, this is
well, I don't even. Don't remember what you were saying. I'm not gonna lie. That moth did distract me a lot.
So yeah, the last paragraph is from someone from her past who's been
Oh.
watching her, and it's people that I'm trying not to do spoilers. So you find out bits of her past as time goes on, and it's people she thinks is dead through like traumatic shit that happened to her when her parents like died and when she got taken by the government. So that's why that's where they're going to take the storyline, and this is new about the other boy in the world, and had made sure that those two came together, and
That just sounds quite good.
It's good.
I can't put more books on my TBR. I just can't, especially not series. But that does sound good.
Yeah, and then I was in Waterstones the other day, and they had book 2 and book 4, but not book 3.
Why did they do that?
Don't know, but I decided to walk away. I didn't buy them. Are you proud of me?
You walked away.
Yeah.
You're like, walk away.
I was like, I can get this on Amazon. I can get them for cheaper on Amazon. And I can get the whole series
And
at
then
once.
Yeah.
I was like, walk away.
No, good job. Yeah,
I bought 2 other books instead.
I'm going to give my money to Bezos.
Yeah. So,
So you're going to continue?
I think so, yeah.
That sounds good.
I literally picked it up because of the title and no other reason.
I've looked at it so many times because of the title. And the cover's fun. It's got all those little pictures on it, hasn't it? Look up the cover if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
I guess the UK cover in case it's different in America.
Yeah. Right. You go.
Okay, so this was a book I read for a book tour, and I'm so pleased because it was a really fun book. So it's called Lion's Legacy, and it's by L.C. Rosen. I'm going to go with. And this is like it's a YA queer. Apparently that was just my vibe. And it's like an adventure book.
Yeah.
So it follows a 17-year-old called Tennessee, but he goes by 10. And it says his life is imploding, his boyfriend has been cheating on him, and all of his friends know about it. Worse, they expect him to just accept his ex's new relationship and make nice. So when his father, a famous archaeologist and reality show celebrity, whom he hasn't seen in 2 years, shows up unexpectedly and offers to take him on an adventure, Tennessee has a few options. Number 1, stay, mope, regret it forever. Number 2, go try to reconcile with Dad, become his sidekick again. Or number 3, go make it an adventure and Dad will be the sidekick. And there's more to it. But so basically, Tennessee's dad is an archaeologist. He used to have a YouTube show where he went adventuring.
Yeah.
And then he started taking 10 with him when Tennessee was 13.
Right.
And then they got picked up and it became like an actual like reality TV show. And they used to go, and it's like a cross between like Indiana Jones and like Uncharted, the video games. So if you're a fan of either or both of them, you might enjoy this. So they go and they do a lot of research, and they go looking for like mythical items, etc., and artifacts. And 2 years prior to where we are, all we know is that Tennessee and his dad had an argument. We do find out, obviously, what it was. But they have an argument, and his dad just walks out on him and abandons him in Japan. So nice. Tennessee's like 15 at this point. And then he doesn't hear from his dad for 2 years. And then his dad just turns up, the worst day of Tennessee's life, basically.
Nice.
And his dad has found research / like some hints for these rings of the sacred band of Thebes, which are artifacts. Thebes, thank you. Yeah. Which are artifacts related to a troop of ancient Greek soldiers, which were 150 gay couples, like these soldiers. And his dad knows that Tennessee really wants to find them because it's like queer history. So he goes with his dad to go find these rings, and it's about that. And it's about discovering queer history. It's about how it's always covered up, and like they were just roommates and stuff like that, and that is like a fact of actual history.
Yeah.
It's about how if you do identify as part of the LGBT, you don't have anywhere where you can go to see your history throughout, because it all gets heterosized. That's not a word, but I'm making it a word. And it's also about him and his dad trying to form a relationship again after this has happened. It's the start of a series. I will pick up the rest of the series because it was really enjoyable. It's a little heavy-handed in its message. So a lot of the messaging is about... well, I guess I could probably talk about what their argument was about, because that's what the messaging of the story is. So him and his dad have an argument because Tennessee comes to realise that his dad sells the artefacts to whoever pays the most. And then he's 15 at this time, and he's like questioning whether shouldn't it just go to the, like, if they find it and it's a Japanese artifact, shouldn't it go to Japan? As opposed to being sold to the highest bidder, which could be someone in America. And this is what him and his dad have an argument about. So a lot of it is about that as well. Like, should history go to the country, as opposed to obviously colonisers taking it away? But if the country, for instance, this is in Greece, if the Greece government are going to hide the gay part of it, like, it's a really good kind of discussion. And it is a little heavy-handed, but I don't think it took away from the fun of the book. And there's kind of a little element of magic in it as well. So like when it's like Indiana Jones, they're going in these rooms and there's like a little element of magic. It was really, really fun. I really enjoyed it. I wanted to highlight lines that I liked, and I ended up highlighting on almost every page.
Nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
Such a good book.
Yeah, I saw there was like some TikToks that were showing up for a while. I think it was TikTok, or it might have even been Facebook, I don't know. But it was like, oh, you know, there wasn't all these queer people in before. This is like a modern invention. And then someone was like, no, we've always been here. And it was like a series of like black and white photos going back to obviously like the early 1800s, whenever like photography, I'm not going to get yelled at by my brother again for not knowing history. Whenever like cameras were affordable for the upper classes, I guess, or whatever. But it was like, no, we've always been here. And it was a series of photographs of queer couples that throughout history have just been like, oh, roommates.
Yeah, exactly. There's like, I remember seeing something like that, and there was like these photos of couples in like the Victorian era, and they were female couples, but one of them dressed as a man. And stuff like that. And there's that doctor, I can't remember their name. They're a very, very famous doctor, whose name I can't remember. And they helped... I'm butchering all of this, but we know that it was a woman who presented as a man because obviously, like, at that time, medical careers were only held by men. But, so a lot of people say, oh, she just dressed up to become a doctor. But then... why couldn't she have just been trans, or why couldn't he have just been trans? Like, you don't have to just be like, she dressed up to be so she could be a doctor. What he could have been trans.
Or if she was just dressing as her authentic or his authentic self.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, we don't know the answers to these, but people have always been there. And our version of sexuality as it is now, especially with like hetero being the norm, is very tied in religion, and religion has not always been around.
I think I was explaining it to someone, might have even been my dad actually. It was like, he was asking like, why are all these things on the forms now? We didn't used to need all these words. And I was like, we did need all these words, except these people didn't have the words for who they were, and there you go, them instead. Or they existed in silence. Like, so we need these words. These words help people. If they don't, you don't need them, so you're fine.
If it's
just, but if they help someone, who cares?
And I always find
it was. I want to clear up the place my dad came from. It was a genuine question, not a place of bigotry. It was like, can you educate me on this, because I'm old and I don't know about this.
And I would like to know about it.
That's how he came at it.
Be like,
Yeah. No, it wasn't like, we're going to need all this in my day. It wasn't like that. It was more like, why?
And
Younger person.
And I always find it funny, like, well, as we know, I'm sorry,
We've tangented really badly, but well.
On my part, I apologise, because this is just going to be a me bashing religion episode, apparently. But obviously, most religions just corrupt and cherry pick and do whatever they want to get whatever they want out of it. And I always find it funny that there's a lot of religions that are okay with, like, polygamy, things like that, if it's a man with lots of women. But that in itself is not a part of, like, a monogamous hetero lifestyle, so you can't just pick and choose when it's okay and when it's not. And
wow, it's straight married couples, just several of them with one dude.
What? No. And I'm not even going to go into priests anyway. So they have always been here. They will continue to always be here. They now, people could be more vocal about who their authentic selves are, and no matter how many laws are passed in supposed first world countries to try and silence people again, you can't. It's not going to happen.
Have you seen about what got signed in Florida? Like today?
No.
Wait. So the bills he's been trying to put through have been signed into law.
Is it
state law?
Roy DeSantis. Yeah, but a lot of his stuff is getting overturned at a higher level. It's just the damage it does in the meantime, and it gives permission to disgusting people to be more vocal. But in the UK, we are following suit with a lot of these things. Yes, trans people are losing a lot of rights in the UK. Thanks, J.K. Rowling, for making it okay to talk about this stuff. Making it okay to be. And thanks, Conservatives, for making trans people a scapegoat, because you fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit off topic, but like, so the person I'm dating moved to the UK when the first Tory government came in power, so he's only ever known Tory Britain. And we were talking about NHS stuff, but I was like, it wasn't like this before. I was like, the landscape in the UK has been fundamentally changed by a Conservative government. Like, I was like, it wasn't like this before. Like, we were talking about NHS wait times, and I was like, they are deliberately crushing certain services.
Yeah, this isn't like... Yes, they're overwhelmed, but they're also doing it on purpose.
Oh yeah, they're trying to make the NHS fail.
Because they want to make it privatised.
They want to make it fail so they can privatise.
Yeah, exactly.
They can go, oh, well, clearly the system's not working.
That's why they passed rules that meant that a lot of NHS staff could no longer live in the UK and things like that.
Yeah. Anyway, bit off topic, but it was like, it's the same thing about the different laws that have been changed. I'm like, it wasn't like this before.
No.
And I don't think it's representing the under 40 categories at all.
No.
Anyway, we don't want to get too political.
Because then it will turn into me ranting about Brexit.
Yeah.
What have you got? Anything fun?
Yes, but I can't talk about it too much because so I read Fourth Wing.
By Rebecca Yarros.
Yeah. The period. I didn't know what the series was called. No one's ever mentioned that.
It's got a series name?
Yeah. Sorry, Rebecca Yarros. Everyone's just going to call this the Fourth Wing series.
I thought it was just Fourth Wing series.
No, I'm just realising that on Storygraph now.
Oh, what's it called?
The Empyrean?
Oh, okay.
Book 1. Anyway.
There we go then.
Right, I'll read out the proper summary.
The next one comes out in November, doesn't it? Iron Flame. I've got it on pre-order because I assume I'm going to want to read it.
Yeah, you will.
I think this is going to be a series I'm going to try and actually read when it comes out.
It's
she says, not having read Fourth Wing yet.
I'm just going to read the description because I feel like I'm too excited about this book and I always get a bit rambled. Alright. Enter the brute and elite world of A War College for Dragon Riders from USA Today bestselling author Rebecca Yarros. 20-year-old Violet Sorringal was supposed to enter the scribe quadrant, live a quiet life among books and history. Now the commanding general, also known as her toughest Talon's mother, has ordered Violet to join the hundreds of candidates striving to become the elite of Navarre, dragon riders. But when you're smaller than everyone else and your body is brittle, death is only a heartbeat away, because dragons don't bond to fragile humans, they incinerate them. With Oh my god, this is a very long summary.
Yeah, I just opened it up and was like, what? This goes on forever.
With fewer dragons willing to bond than cadets, most would kill Violet to better... I'm not reading this. Okay. I'm going to do mine somewhere. Basically, their whole country is at war with their surrounding countries all the time over resources and stuff like that. And they have conscription, but their conscription is not just for the soldiers, it's for the scribe quadrant. That's why they're referred to as quadrants.
Yeah.
There's conscription for all the services that keep the kingdom running.
Oh my god, I did the TikTok filter to find out what I would be. I'm just going to double check what it said, because I wanted to do it before I read the book and see if I agreed. I'm just going to find it while she talks, sorry.
And the dragon riders are the most elite part of that. They are the thing that keeps their borders safe. What are you?
So I think it might have been Healer, actually. Healer. That's interesting.
Yeah, so they've got dragon riders, but it's basically the dragons genuinely they do genuinely burn people to death if they're considered too weak. The dragons are harsh. So the dragons have their own society, and it's almost like a societal contract they've got between the dragons and the humans of like, we'll allow you to bond with us because it increases their powers as a dragon as well. Mm-hmm. So through their bond with the human, they can channel magic and channel powers. So this is why they've got this kind of agreement. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, they're frigging dragons. So the humans are kind of subject to what the dragons want. The dragons are in charge, basically.
Yeah.
And the humans are kind of stuck with it because they need the alliance. So a lot of what the rider quadrant is basically designed to, like, kill off the weak.
Yeah.
It's extreme survival of the fittest.
Yeah, I've seen, like, a lot of people that have read it and said it seems a bit silly that they need these people for a war and they're just killing a lot of them off.
Yeah,
like...
the percentage of people that survive is small. Mm. So, like, right from the start, they have to walk across the parapet, which is
that's how
teeny
far
little
I've
ledge.
got.
It's teeny tiny ledge on the roof that they have to walk across. And if they survive that, then they've got to survive the gauntlet, which is like an obstacle course that's basically designed to kill them. There's up a wall.
Is it like a 3 or 4 year
course but the first year, basically up to what's called threshing, which is when they go out, basically get sent out into a field of dragons, and the dragons pick them. Yeah. And if you don't get picked, but you also don't die, you just have to restart the first year until you get picked by a dragon.
It was giving me like the School of Necromancy.
Yeah,
what's it called?
Sholomancer is what it's.
Yeah. It was giving me those vibes.
Yeah, and it's very Hunger Games. It's very Divergent. It's very well written for our era of adults. Yeah. So then, but basically the dragons just like kill people they don't like, including someone who's been like really mean. So they do the gauntlet. Then you get the presentation, which is basically where a line of dragons line up, and the humans have to just walk past them. But 7 feet apart, because the dragons just kill whoever they disapprove of. And it's someone who's being mean to Violet that gets incinerated, and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, so at the beginning, I've only read like 3 chapters. So not next episode, but maybe like the episode after or something, we'll do a deep dive.
We're going to do a proper deep dive.
With spoilers and everything. But like, right at the beginning, you find out that Violet was all set to be a scribe.
Which is just like the recorders of history.
Yeah, so that was what she was training for. And then her mum, almost last minute, is like, by the way, you're going to be a rider. Off you go.
Off you go.
And, like,
she's like a foot shorter than all the other riders.
Yeah, and the riders train for months leading up to it, years leading up
Must
to it.
have trained their whole lives.
They're like
They come from rider families.
Yeah, they're like, in the Hunger Games, those tributes. What are they called?
The
trophy tributes. Is that one? No, what are they? I can't
remember what they're called.
But the
ones like District 1 and 2 that have elite tributes.
So like the riders are like that. They've been literally like getting strong and like training this whole time. And she's just like, she's trying to carry her backpack.
She's
teeny tiny. Carry it and
and she's also her mum was really sick when she was pregnant with her. So it means Violet has always been a little bit fragile. Yeah, she breaks bones easily. Got, like, she basically sounds like she's hypermobile, because basically, like, she rolls her ankles constantly. It's the same. everything's a bit fragile. Like, she breaks bones quite easily.
Positive thing people said about it being someone with chronic illness as
yeah.
well.
She's, like, just chronically in pain. But then her mum makes the point of, like, she knows how to deal with pain better than anyone else. She's most suited to being a rider. Because she's used to working through pain.
Yeah, but at the same time doesn't make it okay.
No, it doesn't.
But yeah, and she's got like silver hair, right? Or
yeah, the end of her hair is silver. No matter how short she cuts it,
she's
the
got
ends
her
are always
main character
silver.
Vibes.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there are these group of people who are basically, they are the children of a rebellion that happened. So all the rebellion generals were killed in front of their children. And then all of those children were marked through dragon magic, were marked as, they're called tears because they're from Tirish. I'm not sure if I've got that 100% correct, but they call them tears.
Yeah.
And basically those people are conscripted and they have to become riders. Whereas riders is choice only. Like, you get conscripted into doing something, but you don't have to go into the rider squadron.
Yeah.
But that's volunteer only, except for these kids who are forced into it, because basically they assumed that because dragons are all about honour and stuff like this, that the dragons would just kill all of the rebellion children.
Yeah.
Turns out they haven't, and most of them are now rising to leadership positions.
Games vibes again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that one guy that Violet's been told to watch out for.
Because he was the son of the general that her mother killed.
And then as soon as
he's dark and brooding and handsome,
it's like, oh, enemies to lovers. I've never read it, but I know by his description.
Yeah, so no, I'm not going to tell you actually because that'll be spoilers.
We'll do it next time.
There's a reason that they basically end up in forced proximity with each other.
I enjoy forced proximity.
But, like, I think it's another case of enemies to lovers where they were never enemies in the beginning, not as far as he's concerned.
Well,
I have my suspicions.
They've been told that they should hate each other, but it's like Romeo and Juliet, eh?
But like, right from the beginning, he's pretty impressed by her. Like, the moment she holds, so when she gets off the parapet, she, like, holds a knife to some guy's balls because he keeps threatening her. And he's very impressed by that.
Please tell me it's that guy that's behind her.
Because I've
got to the point. I think
she's on the parapet.
I think this can't be a spoiler because it's literally within 3 chapters. So the guy in front who kept talking about how he was going to get married when he leaves, obviously he falls off straight away. And then the guy behind her who's been a dick has just pushed her on. Yeah. And then that's it. That's how far I've got.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm assuming it's the guy behind because I hate him. And he keeps treading on her feet.
He survives for an annoyingly long time, just so you know.
And I really... obviously, I've only met a handful of characters, but I really like the girl she's made friends with.
Yeah. There's some TikTok complaints about some of the dialogue, which I would not have noticed had it not been pointed out to me. Mm-hmm. So I don't even think that's worth worrying about, because I don't think I would have noticed it if it hadn't been pointed out. I don't think it would have taken away from the story. Sometimes it's a bit stilted in places, basically. But it's a book. It doesn't have to be real.
Well, a lot of what I've seen people say, I've seen people just outright say they hate it, which is fine. I don't know. And but a lot of people I've seen have said critically it's not a great book, like it's not written great, but the story's good and it hits all those good beats.
It's not ACOTAR vibes where it's like, especially the first book, it's where ACOTAR where it's like, it's poor fucking writing, but the storytelling is good. Yeah. It's not that. It is good writing. Okay. I don't really get what everyone's issue is.
Maybe just because it's got popular so quickly.
Yeah, I don't, there's nothing about this that makes it kind of popular tat. It's not badly written. Like, the plot points and the kind of twists are, some of them are obvious, some of them aren't, but they're not badly written in my opinion. The big twist at the end, the ending that everyone makes a huge fuss about, I didn't see what happened coming, but I knew something was coming. Yeah. So I wasn't that shocked, but I also don't think... And like, I don't know. I don't get what everyone's issue is. I think it's well written. I think it's really hitting that target audience well, and maybe that's what people's issue is.
Well, if you're not the target audience, then
I don't know if they're doing like, or they're assuming it's like the Ali Hazel thing of like we've written to a trope and it's formulaic. It's just hit the audience well.
Or maybe
it's a magical school. It's got dragons. It's Hunger Games and Divergent vibes.
I was going to say maybe because it's more like the dystopian kind of vibes, and so that's not going to hit every fantasy reader.
No, I think it's definitely aimed at our age group, who, like, teens, early 20s, depending on how young, old, millennial you are reading those kind of books.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's aimed at us kind of fantasy, so maybe
because
younger
there's probably a
audiences.
pipeline of that dystopian to fantasy.
Yeah. Well, also, the 2010s were always when, like, the era, the height of, like, the dystopian stuff.
Yeah.
And, obviously, the Divergent series sadly killed it. But I actually watched a breakdown of why Divergent
Sorrows
prayers. Yeah, I literally watched a TikTok explaining why Divergent killed the genre. Yeah. It was really interesting.
I probably will never read that, but it's gone past its time now. I've got far more important books to read.
I think I enjoyed them. The ending still annoys me. That's all I'll say.
So, come back in a couple of weeks and we will do an in-depth spoiler.
Deep dive spoiler, proper review. But so far, all I can say is recommend. I already downloaded it as an Audible book so I could re-listen.
I considered getting the audio as well. I might do that.
The audio's good.
Okay, so the next book I read, I forgot to look up how to pronounce the author's surname. So this is Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Canas. There's a little on the end, and I can't remember. Canas? Apologies. Okay, so this was a Libro FM arc I got through there for their influencer program. Yeah. Okay, we need to discuss this one.
Okay,
it's called Vampires of El Norte, right? It's advertised as historical horror.
Okay.
Yeah, it's advertised as horror everywhere, even Goodreads, everywhere.
It's
not a horror.
Oh, okay.
It was a great book. I really enjoyed it, but it's going to be picked up by the wrong people, and then it's going to be given the wrong.
Is this publishers trying to pigeonhole it?
Yeah, because it's got vampires in it, so like it's a horror. It's not. It's a romance. It's a romance with a small vampire side plot.
All right.
It's a historical romance. It was really good.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really fun book, but I enjoy both those. I enjoy horror and I enjoy romance, apparently. Like, yeah, so I do worry it's not going to be picked up, it's not going to get the right audience. And I worry that it's not going to do well review-wise because it's going to take a while before it gets the correct audience.
Yeah.
Because it's being pushed as... I had it on my radar because it's been marketed as an upcoming horror. And it's got vampires in the title. And I was like, this is going to be so cool. So, as the daughter of a rancher in 1840s Mexico, Nana knows a thing or two about monsters. Her home has long been threatened by tensions with Anglo settlers from the north, but something more sinister lurks near the ranch at night, something that drains men of their blood and leaves them for dead, something that once attacked Nana 9 years ago. Believing Nana dead, Nestor has been on the run from his grief ever since, moving from ranch to ranch, working as a vaquero. But no amount of drink can dispel the night terrors of sharp teeth. No woman can erase his childhood sweetheart from his mind. So it's about the Anglo settlers are really encroaching on these ranchers and fighting and taking their ranches away from them. And then at the same time, they also have these vampires or like monsters that are also kind of attacking their ranches. And it's actually just a childhood sweetheart love story between Nana and Nestor, and these things are happening that kind of bring them back together. It was really fun. It was really, really good. And it had some really good like discussions because so Nana is the daughter of a rancher. Nestor is a person who gets hired by ranchers. So they basically love each other as children, and they know that they can never be together because he is not high enough status for it. So it's about them like, you know, fighting that and coming together. And she's a healer. There's kind of a little bit of magic, I think, to her healing. And they're trying to save the ranch from the Americans that are coming to take over, and then they also happen to have some vampires there. But that's all side stuff to the romantic storyline. So it was really fun. It was really good. I really enjoyed the
historical
characters.
fantasy romance, maybe.
Yeah. I would say it's more like either fantasy or like magical realism than horror. I mean, yeah, you could say that some of the descriptions are horrific, but I wouldn't say it's a horror.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's got horrific stuff in it. So yes, you can call it a horror, but it shouldn't be advertised as a horror.
Yeah, that shouldn't be like the main pigeonhole.
No.
Yeah.
It should be advertised as historical romance with a thriller or horror element. Personally, I think that.
Okay.
But yeah, it was really good. It was really fun. This is Isabel's second book, and her first one is on my list, The Hacienda. So I think that's also advertised as a historical horror. So I look forward to picking that one up, because that one's Mexican Gothic meets Rebecca, which are two books I love. So I've been meaning to pick that up, so this is going to push me to pick that up.
Nice.
Sooner, yeah. So if you enjoy the sound of that, please do check it out, because it was really good. And I strongly recommend the audio, because hearing like the accent of the words as they should be pronounced was good.
Okay.
Like,
what's the accent?
Because it's Mexican, so like when they're talking about like machetes, they're not, it's machete and stuff like that. It was just really, it really helped immerse me in it.
It's like
and that's how I learned how to pronounce their names.
The Kingdom of the Wicked series, because that's all very based in Sicily, and she says a lot of things. Like, it's the accent on the audio is all done
really
with
helps immerse you, doesn't it? And like I wouldn't have known that was how their names were pronounced. So Nana, the main character, her name is spelled Nena, so I would have pronounced it Nina in my head or whatever. And like I wouldn't have known Nestor, I wouldn't have known it was like that. I would have said Nestor or something like that. So that's why I like listening to the books that are set elsewhere with outside of like British English. I like to listen to audios, because then I can really immerse myself in it properly. So yeah,
I like that.
It was good. It was fun.
So I'm thinking, right, you should do one more, and that's you were going to do 4 this episode, weren't you? Yeah. And I'm going to leave the ones I've got left, because obviously 2 of them are part of a series. Yeah. And we've done quite well for time, so I think I'm going to do one more of you, and then we're going to save mine. And you have to come back next week. Yeah, because...
so I will talk about the one that I mentioned in a previous episode. I can't remember what it was called. It was like NetGalley Reads I Want to Read or something. Yeah. Sheets, the graphic novel about the little ghost.
I saw that you'd read this, and I was like, it's so cute.
It was really cute.
I just want the little ghost sticker.
So this is by Brina Thumler, and so this follows, it's a graphic novel, and it's the first in the Sheets series. And it follows Marjorie Glatt, who is a 13-year-old who she lives with her dad and her younger brother, and they've recently, I think like a year before, lost her mum. And I think you don't find out in this book, but it's kind of, now she's really scared of the ocean, so I think her mum may have drowned. And her dad's really not mentally doing well. He's so checked out. He's full on depressed. He doesn't leave his room, basically. So it's fallen to Marjorie to run the family's laundromat. So she does that before school and after school. And she's having a bit of a rotten time. There's some girls at school that are bullying her, like the popular girls. And she just kind of like blends into like the background kind of thing. And it says here she feels like a ghost, which is a really good description of her life. Yeah. It's very like slice of life-y with her. I like stuff like that. Then we also flick to following a little ghost called Wendell.
I didn't know you did it. It was his point of view. I like that. Either.
So it goes to Wendell, who is a boy who he lost his life when he was like 8, I think. So he's just a child ghost, and the ghosts in this are just like the floating sheets. And so it follows him in the ghost world. So they just have like little houses and they go about their jobs just as little floaty sheets, little ghosts. And you find out about like when they first die and they go into this world and there's like a ghost tailor who gives them a sheet and like,
I love
really
stuff
cute.
like that.
And he's having like death therapy. They have therapy to come to terms with their death.
Oh.
And he just, it's not working for him. He's too young. He tells like crazy stories about how he died or whatever. So one day he just decides to basically go on an adventure, and he decides he's going to go to the human world where they're forbidden for going to.
Yeah.
And he ends up in the laundromat, and he thinks it's like a fun place. So he gets all of the sheets out of the dryers, and he like makes a den, and he dances with them and has fun, and yeah, they end up just becoming friends, and it's really cute. And he helps her with like a little issue she has with someone trying to sabotage the laundromat, and it was really, really cute. And yeah, I can't wait for the next one. I've downloaded it, and I'm gonna
Did you know if it follows the same characters?
Yeah, it just
cool.
follows all the same characters. Yeah, so
you guys need to look up the cover because it's really, really cute.
it's so cute. Yeah, Wendell and Marjorie, and yeah, so the third one has just come out or is just about to come out, and that's called Lights. And yeah, it's adorable. The covers are so cute. The artwork is really beautiful, and the colour palette for the artwork is wonderful as well. Yeah, nice. 10 out of 10.
Like it.
So yeah, join us next week for some more then.
Yeah, more books that we've read.
Have you got a little teaser? I've got some middle grade stuff, and I've started my spooky reads.
I've got a romance and fantasy. In a shocking turn of events. How could you guys have seen that coming?
So yeah, please like, subscribe, rate us on wherever you listen to the podcast. We'd really appreciate it if you left us a star rating and then left us a little written review. That really helps bump us up for more people to find us. And if you want to follow us on our socials, you can follow us on Instagram. At some point we'll upload something on TikTok, so come there. Please consider joining our Facebook group because we want to be more active on there and help build a community, so we'd love to have you. If you want to see what we're reading, follow us on Storygraph and stuff.
And
all of
our
our
own Instagrams, all the links
our links are in our card. So
in our description.
Come check us out, come say hi. If you have any books you want us to read, if you're an indie author, etc., please come to our website, which is lazybookloverspodcast.wordpress.com.
Yep.
And you can send us like a little thing there or DM us wherever.
Yeah. We're not fussy. We just want to hear from you. Are you here? Are you alive?
Thank you for joining us, and we will be back at you with some more reviews.
More books, because we keep reading too much. We've been very off-brand this whole year.
No, we need to just stop.
Not really. I like not being in reality.
It's nice to have books to talk about rather than just when we used to have to do loads of lists.
Right. Have a good week,
Thanks
everyone.
For joining us.
Goodbye.
Bye.